it's hot in this room. It's hot in this room. Give me a second. Hot in this room. It's hot in this room. That's why I'm starting late, because I had some problems. What's up, y'all? My name is Nicolas Polymonacos, aka Sparkles of Gold. I need to know if you see and hear me, and if I'm coming in clear. I have a different setup tonight, and or this afternoon, because I will tell you why. And I might have to turn on the lights here, on the front lights, because it's blazing in this room, and I had to set up fans in here. So in chat, talk to me. Let me know if you see and hear me. This is very important. You can. What's up, y'all? I gotta start off with the drone with the... you can hear me. Different microphone today. Different lighting setup, which I'll turn on in a second. No sleep last night because I was having weird dreams and thinking about this stream and other transits in my brain. How death came to me in my dreams. Again. There's two fans going on in this room and the window's open, and I had to change to a different mic, so it's going to be a little different today. So help me out if you can hear things along with this drone that I got going on here. I just got to make sure before and then I actually might turn on these above lights because you need to see me, but it's going to start blazing in here, and I have to go at a certain pace today because of that. So that's the deal. Good to see you, Sherry Smith. I saw some of you popping in earlier before I started the stream. I just couldn't say anything. And I'm going to take a look at that. I got a new mouse set up for today. I'm confused. Leah, Mari, hi. Jay Peterson, what's up? Sherry Sharp, listening for the first time. You're highly recommended. Who recommended me? Who recommended me? Esmeralda. ¿Cómo estás? De Oliveira Hoffman. The fun began. It's been fun and hot in this room. Christine Hauser, it's been a while. Good to see you, Christine. Good to see you. McClellan, I don't know how to say your first name. Hey, I can hear and see you. Good, I can see you. And along with Sherry Smith, what's up? Titian X. What's up with that name? Sherry Sharp. Clear here, good. Yasmina, good to see you. Ray Weather, send me some cool breezes, Ray Weather. Claire Ann, yes, I composed that. Yes, death in my dreams. Yes, all around. You didn't notice. When I started the stream, I had this. Well, where is my other image? Got Aquarius there. I got, but good old Saturn is sitting over there. See that? Ruler of the water bearer and the goat. Saturn's on my mind. Kronos is on my mind. Should be on your mind too. Where am I? That's where I am. So it should be on your mind. Hey, Tara. Greetings. That's what's on my mind. Saturn. Why? 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 That's why. You see that chart right there? That's the Saturn, Mars-Saturn opposition chart, which we will talk about a little later. Someone already has a Saturn question. It's hot in the desert here, Carolyn says. Yeah, I feel you. 100 degrees. Woo! You need AC. I have no AC. It's hot in this attic. P Smart. I'm so Capricorn and sick. All right. You know, I have new people probably coming to watch and wondering what's going on. Let's try to do this. I'm going to keep one light on that, keep it more mysterious because it's hot, okay? And I just want to let you, those of you who know, when I don't take chart info in the chat to do these. I only do it when I pop a phone number up on the screen and calls, and then if I answer the call and it comes through, I get that person. I get multiple calls at the same time. I can't get to everybody. And I have to judge my energy with these things. Okay, I have to judge my energy. But as always, we're going to start with little somethings. Love from West Cumbria, UK. Hey, what's up? 8 hours ahead. What's up, Cookazella? Feeling the power? All right, let's do this. I got to read something off to start off this ritual. It's already started. Do this. Angela Polino, au revoir. Let's randomly open to something here. Let's randomly open to this to start off the stream. My Orphic Hymns book. I recommend, and I will throw some link up here later. And we're gonna start this stream with this Orphic Hymn, and I'm gonna get right to business, right to what I promised. They say in the thumbnail, in the title, that you promise something, you have to fulfill it on YouTube. There's this whole thing, this whole psychological thing about thumbnails and what you say in the title and all that. I could have put a thumbnail like this. Like people do, you know, like down the line. But if you see me do that kind of stuff and start adding rabbits and chickens into the stock footage and planets and stuff, you know that I'm trying to get another 10,000 people to subscribe to my channel. That I'm not really selling out. I'm sort of jumping the shark. So if you see that in the future, just know that I warned you, okay? I warned you. But I will smash the wall of it. I will tweak it just to turn its head. You know what I mean? Speaking of turning over, this Orphic Hymn is to death. Hear me, you who steer the path of all mortals, and give sacred time to all from whom you are distant. You sleep tears the soul. Your sleep tears the soul free from the body's hold. Whenever you undo nature's powerful bonds, bringing the long slumber, the endless one, to the living. Common to all, you are unjust to some, when you bring swift end to youthful life at its peak. In you alone is executed the verdict common to all. For to entreaties and to prayers you alone are deaf. Catch that line. Let me see this line again. For entreaties and to prayers you alone are deaf. Basically, doesn't matter what you say, what you on your knees to death. Not hearing it. Got it? Oh, blessed one, with pious vows, with sacrifices, I beg you, I pray to you, grant me long life, that old age might be a noble prize among men, women, the world. That's my translation to that. So, Casey, good to see you. So here I am. I had a bunch of people come in the beginning like, "Oh, he didn't start doing it. He didn't." I saw the numbers. All of a sudden he started late, and then he's not talking about my chart yet. What's going on here? What's going on? So I have a key light here. For those of you who don't know, it's hot in here. Let me do this. And I know some of you have been here. Some of you have called. If you've called before, please refrain and try not to do that and let somebody jump in, okay? And I will do my best here. I hate that this mic, I had to do different mic today because of, you can't hear the two fans in this room, and that's why I'm using this other mic so you can't grasp that. You might hear some hiss in the noise because I have the gain turned up on this damn cheap mic. Stephen the Jupiterian. Let me give you a Jupiterian greeting. Hello! Welcome! The Jupiterian. In Taurus, currently. All right. Let's just jump in. Because I'm going to do a couple of these, and then I'm going to talk about a couple transits and whatever else comes to mind. Do me a favor. If you feel called to, which reminds me, I got to do a social media post on that amazing platform. Have you ever heard of it? It's called Facebook. It's this new thing. So I'm going to do that right now, and then I'm going to get to the first, hopefully, call I'm going to get, right? Am I going to get a call? Somebody going to call me? Do they dare call me? And I'm almost done doing what I have to do here on my side screen. And let me get that done because I hate making people wait, even though I waited on the stream because I've been problems starting to stream, by the way. And I'll get into that another time. Let me do this share, and I got it. All right, so I see you in chat. Let's do it. Oh, I gotta do my ritual. All right, I'm picking HermesTheValis.com. I've showcased to her. I got a High Priestess candle. Fuck, it's not working. I'm swearing on the stream already. Anyway, you can't see it. It's a High Priestess candle, Venus and Pisces, or this Venus and Leo, and that's the one I'm going to light. The Venus and Leo into that one, just because that's what's going down. Saturday, we get the retrograde station. And I'll get this here. Hopefully I don't burn the place down. All right, let's do it. Let me switch over to my thing here. Let me go here, and let me put the phone number on the screen. So you give me a call with the phone number you see up here above my head, and let's do it. I'll watch for the phone call. If you call me, you need to turn down the YouTube or whatever you're watching on because it's going to echo, and there's going to be a slight delay. So you need to focus with me on the phone and not on the screen. Hopefully you have a correct birth time. And we'll go from there. And I'm going to do 8 minutes. I'll try to do 8 minutes. And while I wait for a phone call, here we go. Let's see if this is working. Hello, this is Sparkles of Gold. You're on air. Who's this?
Esmeralda.
Hi, Esmeralda. How are you?
Super excited.
I'm glad you're super excited. I just need to know if, this is not for you, Esmeralda, but I need to know if the chat can hear this because I have this thing cranked way up. And Esmeralda, can you say like hello again so people can hear?
Hello, chat.
Okay. They'll let me know if they can hear. And I'm going to try, if you can get closer to your phone or on a headset, that would help because I can't really hear you enough here. Can you say something again? Hello? Are you there? Hello?
Hello, sorry about that.
Yeah, okay, good. Now I can hear you clearly. I see a phone number. By the way, hold on, Esmeralda. I see someone else calling me right now. You're going to have to catch me after this, hopefully, okay? I see the number coming in. All right, let's jump to it because... and let's try to be... I might have to mute you if it's loud in the end here at certain points. Okay, so... all right. I have your permission to do your chart here?
Yes.
I do. Thank you. I am not spelling your name here, but I'm just going to put it. When's your birthday?
It's June 4th, 1977.
June 4th, 1977. And what time?
9 a.m.
9 a.m. That's the morning time. For people who don't know. For those trying to call me right now, I'm on air with somebody and you might have to catch me again. I know there's a delay when you're watching this. Okay, what city were you born in?
So it's Celaya.
Can you spell it?
Yes. C as in cat, Elaya.
Mm-hmm.
And then the state is Guanajuato. I'll go ahead and spell that one too. Guana.
You're in Mexico, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Correct.
we're going to hopefully see if the software catches this. And there it is. Okay, got you. June 4th, 1977, 9 a.m., correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm assuming it's different in a lot of countries because birth times are weird. So where did this birth time come? Do you know?
My birth certificate, and it's weird because it was written out, like literally it looked like a scribe, like in handwritten. So I know that it might not be exact, but my mom says she remembers it close to being 9.
Okay.
So she's thinking like 904 or 06.
Okay. I'm going to actually edit it to 04 just because. And I know your rising sign isn't going to change. And by the way, I use the whole sign house system in case you people watching or you Esmeralda on the phone, like look on an app and you use Placid. It's a different system, right? So I'm going to do a different one here. And if I'm correct by saying here, you're Gemini, of course.
Yes.
And we have a Cancer rising, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And a Capricorn moon.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Pick one thing. Is there one thing you're wondering about that you would like to hear more about in your chart?
I think my career. So I was, little backstory, I was a case manager for unhoused families for 17 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I want to say 3 years ago, I had kind of like it's like mental health crisis. I stopped. Then, of course, the whole, pandemic came along. I was working from home from 1 year of it. And then now it's like I'm completely lost. And I don't feel like I want to go back to that career, but it's really everything I know.
Right. Well, I'm going to say right now that 17 years of helping people in that way is a tremendous amount of work. I think the public needs to thank you at this moment for that because of the type of energy that is dealt with there. And it takes a special person to do that for that amount of time. And you're almost saying that's all you know too here. And it's very interesting because looking at your chart here on the screen and looking at your 10th house of career, your public status, like the stage that you stand upon and all the Aries energy here, and a fascinating Venus-Mars conjunction in Aries that you have.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm also going to point out the second house in your chart. And actually, for those who are going to be patient with me watching right now, I forgot to turn on my annotator, and I don't even know. I forgot what it's called. Here, give me a second. And I want to know people can see this, so I pointed to her 10th here in her Aries, but we're pointing to the Leo. Why am I pointing to the Leo part of her chart and to the fire parts of her chart and your chart, Esmeralda? Is because,
yes,
as we know, there's a major Venus and Leo transit that is happening in your house of resources of money, and you have Saturn there, natally. So, which is always in one way to look at it. When you look at Saturn in the chart, it's a place that we do our work every day, a little bit by little bit. To climb the Saturn mountain, to become the authority on this subject. In this case, the story of resources, self-worth, money.
Yeah.
Okay, and also we're looking at your 10th because of all the Aries stuff here in your chart. And I also want to point out for people watching that you have a Mars-Venus conjunction at 28 degrees, which is a fascinating degree because right now Venus in the sky in Leo fire sign is at that degree. And Saturday stops at that degree to go retrograde for 40 plus days on a retrograde cycle, which is one of the biggest transits of the year. So for me, I'm initially looking at your chart. There's a connection here between your money and resources house and your career part of your house. What's there? I will throw in Monday. The lunar nodes for those watching moved from South Node Scorpio into South Node Libra, North Node Taurus into North Node Aries. So there's eclipses that will be happening in the Aries and Libra part of everyone's chart, and your chart included, Esmeralda, the next year and a half. And there was already one that happened in April 14th, the 29 degrees Aries new moon eclipse that happened right on your Mars and Venus and your career chart. So for me, and I'll shut up here after I say one more thing and ask you a question. You know, eclipses bring in sometimes swooping endings and beginnings almost all at the same time. And sometimes they play out really quickly over several months. Sometimes it's very literal. It's very there in one's world. And a lot of times you see this when it's happening on someone's degree, like exactly like on your Mars and Venus in your career house. So I'm just going to say that. I also will say that Monday when we had the new moon in Cancer, that lunation is actually connected to April 14th and will be connected actually to 3 months later when we have another eclipse in Libra world and Aries world. And it's actually at that moment in time, Mars will be at 28 degrees Libra. So what I'm telling you, Esmeralda, is your home, past, memories, lineage, your career, what you're the authority on, the stage that you stand upon, are really focused right now by the transits and will be here for the next year and a half. So, this is going to be a very simple question.
Okay.
Are you an impulsive person?
Oh, very.
In
Very
everything that you do?
extremely.
In everything that you do? And what's an example of that, if you don't mind?
I think right now, at this time, I'm trying not to be as impulsive as I was. For example, okay, quickly, I had a kind of like a lump sum through like a disability claim that I had, and I spent a large amount of money on something that I haven't really used, and it was like an online course, and it was just like this, like I didn't even think about the amount. It was just, I got excited, I saw a video and I clicked on that purchase button, type things like that.
Right.
As well as sometimes in the past, just if I felt bored, if I felt disconnected with anything, just get on a plane and take off to like Mexico for a month or something like that. Just very impulsive.
Okay. Thank you for saying that. Scenario. I'm going to give you a scenario. If you were to be impulsive right now and make a decision, but it was like a decision that was all in your favor. Like we're imagining here, we're constructing a vision so that the impulsive move that you made wasn't in a sense detrimental or threw you off course, quote unquote. What would that be? What's something off the top of your head?
I really want to start my own business, and everyone tells me that they love my tarot readings, but I haven't done it professionally. I'm scared to do it, but that's like that's what I want to do. I feel like that's a calling that fulfills me at this moment. But I also know it's, income-wise, it's really not something very secure. Yeah, I think that's the only thing I could think about right now, besides wanting to hop on a plane and go to Ireland. But that one I can't afford it. So
yeah,
that's
okay,
the only thing
that's on your list though. You'll get to that.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just really curious about envisioning on the fly, but to mix it with with what being impulsive is, because we could say impulsive, people watching and listening later, whatever, like impulsive. A lot of times people have a negative connotation with this. of being impulsive, like there's some addiction or there's some kind of thing, and sometimes it's like that. I think the reason why I asked you this. To have Mars and Venus at the top of your chart in Aries, a south node there, which depending on how it looks at a south node, this is something that you already know, in a sense, you've done it all and is good at. You know how to do the action oriented moves and the impulsive ways of being and running on instinct, and this is what Aries does, right? And the other part of your chart, home, you have Pluto there in Libra. You're gonna have eclipses there, so there's a Venus Mars story going on here, and it just so happens that all your Venus and Mars flows in this Aries place, and so I welcome impulsivity in your world. Like, I'm all about it. I think if we were to bring in the art of it, it's bringing in, an understanding more of a Libra way of doing things to balance the art of being Aries, the art of being impulsive, art of running on instinct, right? Because remember, Aries do now, no thinking later. Libra's pondering here and there constantly, and sometimes don't make the decision. Whatever the case, they both have their pros and cons, and they need each other. Okay, so I can't tell you, like, sometimes in longer reading, I could tell people, well, actually, this is a period of time where you can maybe start something or whatever after conversation. But what I can say is that there is a definite story here in these parts of your chart. It's angular for those watching. Anything happen in the 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th houses of a chart, anything happening there is going to affect those other houses. And it's very prominent in your life when you have planets and transits that are called angular in your chart. So Pluto is squaring your Venus and Mars right now, and Pluto is coming from your 7th house of relationships. That's a deep, deep story for something else. I just want to point that out. And then you have a Sun-Jupiter conjunction in Gemini. After listening to you and hearing what you're saying, I'm just going to say it. I hope that you have a team, a crew, tal vez es familia, yo no sé, that supports your vision, and that you're not alone in it.
Definitely. I think with what I have been through, a little bit of trigger warning for the folks listening. I was an alcoholic for 29 years. I'm 3 years sober now. And I think my family was a huge part of that, me being able to come out of that. And so I think that's why I feel so confused now in my life, because I feel like I kind of feel like I'm a brand new person and don't know how to deal with things without that substance. But yeah, my family has been a huge part of my recovery, my being able to see life a lot different, I should say, now. And so they did have their doubts at first with what I'm now wanting to do for me, for my life, for my future. Slowly starting to accept the things that I like, the things that thrive in what I'm passionate about, which is astrology, which is divination, which is anything to do with spirituality. Because of my background, I think my family, did have a little bit of hard time accepting that. But I think slowly but surely they prefer me being the spiritual person, talking about planets and moons and everything. And they just kind of look at me like, oh, you're a little different, but rather have me, healthy, sober, and talking about planets instead of, the other stuff.
Right. Esmeralda.
Yes.
Congratulations on 3 years, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's a huge monumental accomplishment. Yeah, and and before we kind of wind down and go here, from what you said in the very beginning about what you used to do and what you did for years, and being a Cancer rising and being ruled by the moon, and even you got a Capricorn moon. That's a tough moon. They don't. it's one thing that typically you read a book like Cancer, they're going to show tears and sensitivity. It's all true. Go look to the moon in the chart, and then it's Capricorn, opposite place. They don't show sensitivity and tears, right? They build the wall. They're looking tough, but secretly, they're worrying on the inside and all this stuff. They're trying to keep it afloat. But after what you told me on this phone call, from your past experiences, how you've helped people, your journey to sobriety, your envisioning of where you want to be and go, I think everything that's happened to you, whether one wants to call it the good and the bad, the shadow, or whatever, is an empowering thing. It's a thing if you do astrology and tarot, if you go back to some other kind of job, whatever you're going to do, I see in your chart not just the power of starting and doing, but the wisdom that comes from being moon ruled.
Yes.
And if you were to sit in front of somebody and do their chart or pull a card for them, like, what's up. Like, when it comes from a compassionate, empathetic view.
Yes. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, and that is a gift, and I see it in you, and I could hear it in your voice, and knowing your story. So, Esmeralda, it's a risk always to make a call like this and then maybe speak your story to the world here, because that's what's happening. So
I was a little nervous, but you just made it so easy and so comfortable, and this is something that I don't really share, but I'm glad I shared it because, that's one of the things that I'm like, I'm going to be honest and tell my story and really get a truthful, view on my chart, and with all my good, bad, and ugly.
Yeah, with everything, and then with good support in your world, of people to support your dream and vision. And I'll leave you with this one, because you're a Gemini. I'll leave you with this one. You got Mercury and Taurus here, and Mercury and your moon have this interesting connection of how to construct words, let's say, to emotions, whether you're listening to somebody else or you're saying it yourself. There's a certain point, a certain way it comes across in an earthy, organic way. And soon, and you look this up for yourself, Jupiter is in Taurus, and it's going to come towards your Mercury and enhance this and completely connect and vibe with your moon in Capricorn. And there's a gift here, and there's something here in the end of this reading or whatever we're doing on air. It's in your 11th house of dreams and wishes, and in a sense how people, community, and groups, or whoever, and patrons elevate those dreams and wishes. So when that is brewing here for you, that is coming your way, so if you were wanting to contemplate, you're contemplating, envisioning like we're doing here, just know that Jupiter's in your world too, and on your side here. And by math here, it's going to be a little bit till it gets to 20 degrees, but it's just something for you to look at, and that will enhance your world and your brain. So,
yes, and I could feel it. These past couple of months, I'm like, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but it's just this feeling of just happiness and fulfillment. And I'm like, okay, I know it's going to happen. I know it's there, and I know. And for the very first time in a couple of years, I think I've said it to myself, I deserve it. I'm like, it's going to happen.
That's like, yeah, it's like the getting on a bike that you've never ridden or you forgot to ride. And when you get on it, because it's like newfound territory, you're in a different mind space, you change your life. And usually when you get off course, then it's back to that. Now, wait a second, this is how it works, but I totally deserve this. I see it. I'm going to get it, So I really like the words that you said to me today. So
thank you.
Yeah. Esmeralda, I know you popped up on my streams and chat and stuff, so it's really good. Thank you for coming to the channel and supporting me, but I really appreciate your courage today and coming live on air, okay?
Thank you. This means so much to me. I thank you so much.
Okay. Adiós, Esmeralda. Que te vaya bien, okay?
Igualmente, gracias.
All right, gracias. It's inspiring. People's stories You know, what people do when you hear somebody on a post or publicly, or even for me doing client sessions and whatever that we do, you know, you think you've heard it all, and you never do. That's why astrology is so interesting to me. I mean, I'm trying to make a business. I'm trying to get readings and make support for the rest of my life. There's that, but inherently behind the money and support, I every time I have a client or going to do a chart, there's always this space in place of like, what will I hear, or what will come up in all this, and that's when one has to be, I think, open and bow down to the situation of like what the universe, spirit, diamond, angels, whatever you're into, is creating in a space for things to come up and for a story to come up. So there's so much that happens, but it's very simple at the same time. And you hear a story like Esmeralda's, where we don't know her. She's coming on air. There's people watching. There's going to be, you know, who knows how many people watching later, but it shows spirit. Esmeralda, you're watching like vivir con ganas, huh? That thing, the will. And, you know, you catch a lot of that in fire signs. You just catch it. That's what we learn from them if you don't know, like, fire in your chart. And in a sense, too, we're going to learn a huge part of what this is, the will, and this process of losing oneself and coming back, and the will of putting oneself out there in that way of the ego. I'm not saying ego bad, everything, and how the process is going out there. We're definitely in the story right now with Venus in Leo. Mercury's there in the sky right now. We got the moon that's just come through the last 24 hours. But it's like, you know, this Venus story in Leo is all about this too. But there's some things that happen during the retrograde that have to do with a kind of like going to get a tune-up and looking at what's up and certain things that are not flowing, and replacing those things or understanding, and then reclaiming things and reviewing things and so on and so forth. Something I will talk about here a little bit later. So Esmeralda, thank you. Thank you. I want to say what's up to the chat. I see you commenting. You guys are good in chat. You guys always are very positive and give really good vibes. I see it. I see Angela. I see you in there. Italian Teaching Tools. I didn't say hi to you. Hello. Tyler Richards. What's up? Yeah, Courtney. What's up, Courtney? Courtney, you came in right at the right time. Yeah. All right, good to see you, Collie. And Claire, yeah, good. And yeah, congratulations, Esmeralda. You got it. And you're always welcome. You know, I'm going to do my streams and my comment, my videos. You're always welcome to comment and say what's up. And if something happens or whatever, let us know, you know, like, hey, I did this thing, or I did my first tarot card reading officially or something, you know. It doesn't matter. You know, maybe in the future, if you're around, you hit us up in the chat and you let us know. Golden Heart, welcome to the stream. And, okay, I need to do something here because it's hot in this room. Now, next caller, give it to me. Come on, next caller. I saw somebody from a certain state trying to call me. Because she got to me first, and the line is open. You see the number up on the screen. Lorian, I see you. I threw it up. Lauren Dawkins, almost hello. Cookerzilla, the Mars Saturn opposition is intense. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that actually after this next phone call that I'm going to do. And then I'll talk about some good stuff about all that. And I know my lighting is weird today because it's blazing hot in here, and I could turn on the other light. You have to let me know if it's good. Incoming call. Hello, this is Nicholas. You're on air. This is Sparkles of Gold.
No.
You're breaking up on me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Now, yeah, you're kind of breaking up because of our connection. Hold on a second. Somebody else is trying to call. You call me in a little bit later, okay? I see you coming in. Hold on. I don't know if it's my cell phone here, but I'm trying to move it. How about now? Can you hear me?
I can hear you great.
Okay.
Sometimes the connection at my studio where I'm at is a little in and out. So it could be me. So it could be.
Okay.
Is
Okay.
it better?
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. It's better. It's good. And I got to take this off the screen. And all right. I formally have to ask you. Can we do this? Can we put your chart up on screen and talk about it?
Yes.
All right. So, hold on a second. What name are we giving you today?
Rachel.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi.
When's your birthday, Rachel?
It is September 27th, 1975.
September 27th, 1975. What time?
At 12:11 a.m.
That's always interesting, right after. Okay, where? City?
And Asheville, North Carolina.
Oh, I had the best dumpling soup in that town. the week that 9/11 happened.
Ooh.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I was on tour with a band, and we came through Asheville. We were supposed to play New York and D.C. the couple days before, and those got canceled. We had to keep going on tour, and Asheville was the first place we played days after 9/11 happened. And
After the quiet.
yeah, and it was wild what was going. Anyway, okay, North Carolina?
Yeah, I was born in Asheville, North Carolina.
Yeah. Sorry, I was having a memory dump there.
That's okay. I was working at Coffee People, coffee shop in Portland.
Oh, wow. Oh, you're living in Portland.
Yeah.
I see. Rachel, September 27, 1975, 12:11 a.m., Asheville, North Carolina.
Yeah.
The home of BigBriar.com, a.k.a. Moog Factory, which is Bob Moog, however he said his name. I'm sorry I'm going off on this. Was one of the most famous people that dealt with synthesizers and the creation of them. And their home base is in Asheville. Okay, so Rachel, one thing here. What would you like to walk towards here when we're talking?
Well, I know my second house is going off, but really I think the underlying structure is how do I have a really intense wall, like a self-protective wall that really keeps everybody out. And I'd like to break that down, and any advice geared towards that would be awesome through the chart. Okay.
A self-protective wall that, can you say that last part again?
Yeah, I just have a really subconscious way of keeping everybody at not just arm's length, but like a double arm's length.
Safety?
Yeah, safety's up for me right now. Just feeling safe in and amongst people and community and connection.
Okay. I first want to say, Rachel, that safety's good. Because I think a lot of times when safety is up for people, whether it's their whole life, like it's a theme or it's recent, I think a lot of the times it comes from a very instinctual level of just survival. It's a place of can't help but do it just because I need to feel safe and comfortable and my nervous system isn't going off, things like that. Like if it's lately or since one came out of the womb into the world and the narratives and the stories around them and embedded in them. Sometimes we could see that in charts, right?
My fourth house definitely speaks to it.
Yes, you see where I'm going and why I went there. And I want to reiterate that is there and things have happened to get by in life so one can live and get through, right? And I think it's a benefit. There's something there, and I'm saying this because I don't know you and I don't know your story, but I just want to start by saying that it's a good thing to be able to feel safe or to feel like just to be first and foremost, and then what happens after that, how one sits and processes the world and emotions and try to find a calm, peaceful place. Okay, so I just want to say that.
Thank you.
Yes, and yes, I mean, obviously, you know what's going on in your second house. Huge deal you got going on here, because you are natally, or Venus in Leo, and you sounds like you know a little bit about astrology, correct?
Yeah.
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 Have you, just to say this out loud, have you gone back to 2015 and seen if there's any connections to your world to now? That's what's happening with Venus?
No, I've been single since 2016, and in 2015 I was debating breaking up with somebody, and in the end we did break up, like that following March.
Okay. Venus is pretty much the deal right now with you calling me, and the reason is it's because it does rule your fourth, and that Sun Pluto that you have, with just how we are in this format that we're in right now, just looking quick, I can understand the protectiveness and all that. And you know, the key is here to me is, it's one thing if others on the outside of you are like, you know, why are you hiding out all the time, or why blah blah blah. That's like, okay, that's what other people are saying. To me, the key is like, what does it mean for you, Rachel? I mean, because is it a thing where you do want to take some steps forward in this?
Steps forward in letting down my own defenses?
Yes.
Yeah, I do. It's time.
It's time. And why do you say it's time, Rachel?
Since 2017, I've been really studying dance and partner dance, and there's just only so far you can go with partner dance in the way that my body responds to people.
Mm-hmm.
And those underneath the surface defenses are definitely like getting in the way of being able to truly listen to my lead. And I feel like that is almost like a metaphor for the rest of my life too.
Uh-huh.
It's like I've been so good at protecting myself, so good at creating space for myself, that like I'm in an island and I don't know how to bring down the moat, or what the bridge over the moat.
Yes, you're in your castle. You're hiding out over there, and
big time. I'm so good at it.
Yeah.
So even I can be out in the world and very social and very with people, there's still no connection.
Okay.
And I think it's mostly me not being able to be there.
I'm on an imaginary trip right now. Looks like the stream might turn into that, where I'm in this using a visionary imaginary palette.
Okay.
Okay, so you and I, right?
Okay.
So let's take a deep breath here, okay? And I'll ask you a question.
Yeah.
And the first thing that comes out, just say, okay? No right or wrong.
Okay. Okay.
Do you see an image? Let me know an image of yourself, of you expressing.
Yeah, it's dance.
Mm-hmm. And what do you see yourself doing?
Not what I actually been training to do, but more creative, more free flowing, more like a static dance or something, which I don't do.
Mm-hmm. Solo with people?
Yeah.
And now let's go back to real life. In your real life, in this right now, do you do that like by yourself? Let's say you don't do a static dance, but would you do it by yourself in a room with no one around?
I've done it before. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Would you do it in a group of people?
I have done it before. It's been a while. Actually, in 2015, I was doing it, funny enough. I used to take my kid there. But I would. I just haven't.
Yeah, okay. Part of the reason why I'm doing this is just to see what the optimal situation would be for you. to connect. Because if, you're saying to me this thing of some of the moats down or up, and you do want to take action that has nothing to do with anybody else saying, hey, please do this. How come you're not like that? That I'm thinking of the ways for you to come to an embodied place with it and to see yourself, at least start to see it, envision it. And part of the reason why I'm doing this with the expression part of it has to do with this Venus and Leo retrograde story, because it's kind of reviewing, in one sense, where Venus and Leo, how they express themselves on the metaphorical stage, whatever the stage is. So it's also like getting a makeover too. So I wouldn't doubt if Leo risings or anybody Venus and Leo and stuff, wherever it is in their chart, were like to get a haircut or go to the salon or get their nails done. I mean, there's like these little weird minor things that don't mean anything, but metaphorically, it's happening on all levels with Venus right now, with the retrograde. But I'm even taking that on a deeper sense of like, how one would creatively express themselves, and in your case, Rachel, where it felt safe to do and be, but where you were yourself, where you were free to be, right? And because I'm starting off with the initial safety thing here, and I'm not going to tell you just go risk it, go do this. I can't. I don't do that. I'm not going to do that, because you're your best guide. Right. And it is but I mean, I don't know if I'm using the right word. At the same time, what you're thinking about doing and what you want to do is a risk.
Yeah.
So how do you take that move? And for me, I'm looking at this Venus ruling your fourth and even in another way, ruling your 11th house of community and being out there with people that support you. Right. It's like I'm looking for the way you can relate to the world and people where you feel safe, but you are expressing, even if it's in a childlike manner. There's a reason why I said childlike manner, is because that childlike manner is Leo world. As in the touching of a child's creativity without any filters. Like the world is a playground to release and to connect to a life force within yourself, and the world's a playground to express that life force.
I like that.
That's good, Rachel. It's good. The key is, I think, here, and looking at being another Cancer rising. I don't know if you saw last caller.
Yeah, I did, with the Jupiter right next to the moon.
Jupiter, and you got Mars moon here.
Yeah.
So it's muted in the 12th house. It gets funky there sometimes of not being seen or not really getting caught, or confusion. It could be that way there.
Yeah.
At the other end of it, Mars, Mars, anything in the 12th, if you think about it, it's just rising up out of the east in the sky, because that's the eastern part of the chart. So it's kind of like new. There's a little bit of my version. I don't care what other astrologers say about this, but if anyone knows the Fool card, there's a little bit of the Fool card in here of someone taking a risk and not knowing. They're kind of the baby here, like a little bit, okay, there's a little bit of innocence going on here with the planets rising out of the east, brand new. Anyway, safety is always going to be a thing, and feeling secure because you're a Cancer rising. So I'm looking for we're talking about what still could be a place of safety, step by step, for you to creatively express yourself. And what I'm really getting to is who do you trust to do this with? And we could, if there isn't anybody, can we find one space and one person? Or if there is multiple people, can you talk with them in a way where, like, this is who I am and where I stand, and I want to do this. Can you back me up? Right? Now, I have to stop here and be very conscious, because I don't know your world. Some people have a crew of people like support. Some people don't. They're lone wolves, right? So I don't know your world, Rachel. I know one way of what you told me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of community that's just out there. What I would want to do and explore, it would be more an internal thing.
Hmm.
Um, but I have a few ideas.
Okay. Okay. Out of any time to like experiment or to not to base 100% of everything on one action, right? But out of any time here, it's kicking in Saturday right now. You have
It's what?
it's kicking in. The Venus and Leo stations retrograde Saturday,
Right.
it's right at
Yeah.
28 degrees. Just to say it's happening now, right? And so once it does that, it's 40 days. It's like 43 days going to be retrograde. There's going to be a point there in mid-August where Venus goes into the sun. There's a Venus-Sun conjunction. I want to say it's August 11th. I'm actually, be patient with me, Rachel, here, because I want to make sure I get this right for you, because as a technique, as a remediation thing, I gotta find this sucker. And I used to know it off the top of my head. Give me 1 second. And I'll find it here in a second. But I what I want to stay focused on is Venus is going through almost a kind of an underworld story, but it's kind of a thing of review and reprocessing. And I actually think that it could be creatively benefit creatively if one is embodied and uses 40 days or 43 days to experiment in a playground of creativity where your so-called way for you, Rachel, of risking is there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I can tell you here and that's just my opinion. I'm not the know-it-all here, okay? You know best. It's just something it's coming up for me talking to you. And if it's in a little bit of a possible structure and map, if you wanted to use a little bit of what I said and turn it into something of your own, which, by the way, is the most important, that it's your own. Does that make sense, what I'm saying to you?
So are you saying like create a process to go through until the sun goes Cazimi and then?
Yeah, well, actually, I didn't finish that. Let's say all the way till, the Venus and Leo transit isn't fully officially done until October. And the retrograde happens all the way until the first week of September, where she stations forward, right? But the days in between this Saturday and September is like the centerpiece, the meat of it all. There's a rehabilitative process that's happening with Venus, a regenerative process. The peak, one key point is that Sun Venus conjunction, right? But the whole thing is what I'm saying. So in your case, because you're Venus and Leo, this is a rare transit for you and what it's doing, and so close to the degree of your Venus.
I know
that I'm all about whatever creative tasks you can do, pretty much.
Okay.
With intention, Rachel, with whatever you want, which let's just say you decide. I'm not telling you what to do. Let's just say it has to do with your initial question that you came here to talk
Okay.
Thank you. You can message me or email me, and I'll give you the dates. And I actually have a plan here after I'm done with some of the charts. If you keep watching the stream, want to watch it later, I'm going to pull up the couple of the dates here on the chart, the Cazimi, the Sun-Venus conjunction chart. You're going to see it. I'm also, fingers crossed, I'm working on a Venus and Leo retrograde video here that's going to come out by the weekend, too. So okay, Rachel, I don't know. I just...
No.
You okay? What's going on? How do you feel about what we talked about?
Good. I definitely have PTSD from childhood trauma, and the way that shows up is the way that I defend myself, the way that I keep everyone away. And I feel like this Venus cycle is about me finally breaking that down. And you gave me some good insight into that process.
Thank you, Rachel, for your honesty and showing yourself. And again, the tools are there, and whatever other tools you think you need to help you in this process, whether about what's lately or for your life or whatever, I fully support you in seeking out those tools and whatever it takes to do that, to do your thing, sing your song, So
Thank you.
Yeah, Rachel. And, you know, you can always hit me up later. You come on here on the screen where you're private, like, hey, you know, I have a question about this or whatever, and I can get to it, okay, just so you know, Rachel. But
Yeah.
listen, I'll leave you with this one. I just have to say this.
Yeah.
Anybody, Pluto sun,
Uh-huh.
they have stories.
Yeah.
And they can listen to stories, too.
Yeah.
But the power is there. The power is there. And it's always a power story. And Pluto sun people, they're warriors. Rachel, thanks for calling.
Thank you, Nicholas.
Until
Okay,
next
bye.
time, Rachel, I'll see you. Don't mess with Pluto people, man. They know what's up. They know what's up. Rachel, man, you're gonna do it. Venus story, Venus retrograde, you're calling here. Whatever you do, whatever concept, whatever dance that you do, be free, my friend. Be free. What's up, chat? Mohammed, I see you. Mohammed in Jordan. Hello. Joseph Murray, I've been seeing you in there. Joseph's always there. Ray, good to see you. I forgot to tell people to share this. I forgot to tell people to share this. Okay, I'm going to take a break with the readings. I'm going to do it. God, it's 2 o'clock already. I'm going to get to some things, some charts. I'm going to talk about a chart here that is tomorrow. Where is it? And it's right here. And it's the Mars-Saturn opposition that is happening here. Here is Mars. Man, this mic is so different. I'm not used to the way it sounds. There is Mars at 6 degrees, and there is Saturn at 6 degrees. And we have the opposition that's brewing right now. And, man, some people are feeling it. I know. Along with the new moon that happened on Monday, that there's this kind of zingy quality happening the last 72 hours. Remember, Mars and Virgo is ruled by Mercury, so Mercury's in Leo. So now you see the connection, too, of the Mercury and Leo at 17 degrees going over the Venus places. We have a Pluto square going on here at 29 degrees. It's squaring the newly ingressed nodes of Aries and Libra. But okay, so whatever. Let's start over again. Mars, Saturn. Listen. Mars wants to get things done in Virgo. I did a whole video on this, by the way. I'll put it up later here or there, and then you can go look in my thing, my library, my videos. Here Mars wants to get done the task. Virgo has got a huge list. And let me tell you the list in front of me right now. I have a lot of them. The list, and get it done. You have to try. This is not to stop, but Saturn here is stopping. Here, my interpretation of this in a quick way is Saturn's in Pisces, which has a container right now. Pisces has a container, whether it likes it or not, of like it's usually spilling non-boundaryless with stuff. And here we have a little bit of a container and a little bit of something that goes towards the Mars and Virgo and ask, slow down, stop. I know you're trying to power through the tasks, but I'm not going to do that. We're going to stop here, and I need you to reevaluate and to take a look at things. I see you in chat, Sarah and Andrea. What's up? And there's reasons for that, and you have to look into the Mars and the Virgo and Pisces parts of your chart to understand this. But Mars is hitting a wall here, and there's resistance. So Saturn and Mars are doing this, and it can be harsh. This is very harsh, very frustrating. Tasks aren't done. You can't fulfill them. You were on a roll, and all of a sudden you hit Saturn. I think what Saturn here in Pisces is asking you is to re-envision how you're doing your tasks and why you're doing your tasks in the first place, the details involved with that. There's a reason Mars in Virgo is doing something. It's for a project. It's for a goal. If this is really affecting your chart, you can dial in on what that is, and you're taking a break here. Take this opportunity and look at it as a break instead of feeling like it's a resistance thing or it's a weight on you, which a lot of it is. It actually is that. But what can you do in a situation like that except chill and stop? You have to. And so here, if you're not chilling and stopping and we're bringing more Mars, the more resistance you're going to catch with all of this. And you just want to pay attention to it, okay? And you can look to Jupiter and Taurus right now in the chart as the ruler of this. Mercury, like I said, but to keep it really simple, again, you can watch my video. This is an interesting way for the Mars story to start happening, because after it does this opposition with Saturn right here. Let me do something really quick. With Saturn right here, you see Saturn? Anyway, Kronos, we then get a great connection with Jupiter. We get a connection with Neptune event. It's going to happen down the line. There's going to be a connection with Uranus and Taurus at 22 degrees here. It's moving. When Mars gets further down the line, it's going to make a trine with Uranus. It's going to trine Jupiter and Taurus. It's coming up here soon. You're going to have a Neptune opposition that's going to happen, and you're going to have, in the end of the transit, you're going to have a Pluto trine to Mars. So take advantage of this slowing down. If you can look at a Mars-Saturn opposition in your chart, and understand and then re-envision the Mars and Virgo process here, that Saturn is giving you the crystallized form for the tasks at hand, quote unquote, for the details, the reevaluation of them. You Mars and Virgo people in general, if you're watching or if you're deeply affected by this and you're mercurial, you got to turn down your nervous system here and think about that. If things haven't been flowing the last week and you're hitting a resistance because of Saturn, you want to turn down your nervous system. It's a good time to take a break. I can't do anything right now about this. I'm going to stop going against the effing wall, and I'm going to take a break and get past this. If you noticed, you notice in the chart here that you also have something that's accentuating the transit, which is the moon coming into Virgo here. 1 degree. It's ingressing tomorrow, and the moon is going to pass over this. It's going to enhance this situation. It's going to be super, super Virgo energy, right? And so I'm telling you, Virgos, and telling you people who got major Virgo in your chart, turn the volume down, turn the nervous system volume down. You can't get it all done today, this week. It's a slow climb, Earth sign, slow climb. You got the rest of these planetary bodies coming your way. The one other thing I will say to this is, when Mercury leaves Leo and goes into Virgo is the next Mercury retrograde cycle, and that is when it gets really interesting in this whole story at a different degree. So that's for something else, and so on and so forth. So I wanted to say that. I have a couple other charts lined up, and then I will do a phone call. I also going to bust out this chart, which, well, here's the Venus retrograde chart. Okay, let's just say it's 6:32 p.m. on Saturday is when Venus officially stations. She's slow now. It's slow now. It's just happening. It's at the same degree, 28 degrees right now in the sky. It's there, but she's slowing down, and I will point that out to you here if you don't know. Right there, good old Venus is about to do a magnificent retrograde story. If I get my act together, hopefully see a video by Saturday morning, I somehow will pull it off. I don't know if I'm going to do it for each sign. People like that stuff. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. I ain't going to talk about big dates, though, because there's a connection to Uranus. There's a connection to Jupiter and all this. There's a Mercury story. A lot of stuff here. It's happening here Saturday. Honor Aphrodite for everything that she is and what she brings. Inherently, I'll say it this, and because I'll say more on my video, there is kind of a piecing out going on here with Venus. There is parts of Venus that are getting taken apart. And if we think about it from a Venus and Leo point of view of like how we present ourselves and express ourselves, the way we do that through Leo is under review. So, for instance, let's just say I'm on stage and I'm wearing this T-shirt. It's a Mercury T-shirt because it's a Hermes day. And these glasses, I'm taking these off and my hair and certain things. I'm like, does this work in how I express myself? Does this show like what my core value is? And it gets pieced out during the retrograde. It's kind of, and it's reviewed. It's brought to a place of certain things go in the recycle bin, right? of how we express and show ourselves and how we love. Inherently, everything's connected to love, and Venus is all about love. Venus is all about relating. So it's really not about here. It's really about what's at the core of our creativity, our light, our source, right? And that is kind of getting pieced out and will be put back together anew, renewed. So if you're thinking about doing something here with all this, you saw what I talked about with a caller here, is like, how do you show yourself? And if you're deeply affected by this transit, how will you're taking a look at it. It's there. And even if you don't want to, Uranus is going to break that apart anyway. Jupiter, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of stuff that's happening here. A very simple way of saying it. I'm not giving this transit justice. I'll work on the video and say it that way. I'm looking at your chart, or at the chat. I'm looking at, and yeah, this whole Barbie thing or whatever. I still don't get the gist of all that. I know Barbie, there's these connection times. I mean, if I'm going to go see that movie, I think I need to get really stoned to go see it. So I also see Cookerzilla, Natal Venus, RX, Fixed Scorpio. Any advice? Well, yeah, there is. You just go. Okay, here's the other thing for everybody. You're going to look to the Venus parts of your chart. So it's also your Taurus and Libra parts of your chart are affected too, and that's one way to break it down. If you are a fixed sign or whatever, this will be affecting it. On a deeper level, after I do this, I'm putting the phone number up. I wasn't going to talk about this book. This is a weird one. This is called Holographic Transits, Volume 5 by Robert Blatsky. He put a series of books out, Scorpio, by the way, Mercury and Scorpio, on progressions. The first one he put out is Progressions. This is the last book out he put in his series, and he calls it Holographic Transits. But basically, this book, if you're really digging into astrology, deals with sun-planet conjunctions. Prenatal, let's say Sun-Venus conjunction that happened before you were born, or if you were born with one, or later, and how to calculate and what that means. It's called Holographic Transits. I wasn't going to talk about this book, but right here he's talking about his own prenatal Sun-Mars conjunction. What I'm saying is that there's several books on this. Ariel Gutman's got the Venus Star Point book. There's a bunch of stuff, but basically there is a death and rebirth process happening here, and you have to see by degree if you have Venus and fixed planets or fixed signs, all that, by degree, you're having this death and rebirth process. I'm stopping to talk about that. I need to take a phone call and keep going because I only have done 2. I promise I'll talk more about the video or whatever. Also, I got to plug myself. If you're really deep into whatever else you like what you're saying, I do readings. I do this. I have a special up. I'll put that up after this reading. I'm going to show you a couple of specials I added on my website. Let's get to the dang phone calls, okay? Because that's what this is all about. That's what this is all about. Just do it. Where is my phone, by the way? I got this fan set up in here, and I can't believe it's working right now because I don't have this other light on, and it's blazing in here. That's why I don't have it on. Let's make sure my phone works. Hello, this is Sparkles of Gold. You are on air.
That's what this is all about.
Hi.
Hi, can you turn down the background, my own voice? Hello. Are you there? Hello? What happened to you? What happened to you? Hello? Hello?
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
I missed the first caller. Give me a second, okay? First caller,
Sure.
I'm not talking to you. The first caller who called me right now is turning it down. I will get to you. I saw your area code. So after I do this one, I will look for your phone call, and you can even say something in chat, okay? I don't want to lose you. Okay, you, my friend, who's calling me. Hi, how are you doing? Are you there?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure you're there. And I'm going to can you say hello to me so I can make sure I can hear you?
Hello.
Okay, good. You're kind of coming in low, so if you could do your best to get next to the mic, your phone mic, it will
Sure.
help. It will help me out. Okay. Can I look at your chart?
Absolutely.
All right. What name are we using?
Tyler.
Give me a second. Hold on, Tyler.
Sure.
Tyler, when's your birthday?
Yeah. October 14th, 1994.
What time?
11:31 a.m.
City?
Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn. How the hell do we spell that? I got it. It's always weird. Tyler, born in Brooklyn, New York, at October 14th, 1994, 11:31 a.m., correct?
Correct.
Tyler, your chart's up on screen. Thanks for calling. How can I help you today? Pick one thing. Is there one thing on your world, one thing on your mind?
Yeah, well, I guess the main thing that I'm curious about is that, we just recently had the nodes switch signs. I'm a Libra sun, and I'm just kind of curious as to what's going on for me. Obviously, I've got situations at home changing, relationships changing, and my career changing. And so I'm just kind of curious in what I can do to help navigate these changes, I suppose.
Okay. So pretty much everything is shifting, and it's been shifting in your world, Tyler.
Yeah.
I'm going to say one thing off the bat here. How much do you know about astrology? Just know it's not a test, by the way.
I've been a casual student of astrology for about 15, 16 years, so I do know a good amount.
Okay.
I got my Saturn return going on right now.
That's exactly what I'm going to talk about right now.
Perfect.
It is exactly happening right now. You know this? Hold on a second. Hold on.
Sure.
I just turned one of my other studio lights on to see if I can handle the heat here. Okay, so you know this. Okay, let's start here. Let's just keep it real simple. One word answer, okay?
Mm-hmm.
What is home?
Wait, what was the question?
What is home? Or
Home. Honestly, I kind of feel like I'm home.
okay, got you.
Yeah.
You. The word you is your home. Okay, that's good, Tyler.
Mhm.
That's good. Where's home in the future?
Home in the future. I don't have a location, but I do have like a person that I know that I want to have.
Okay, that's real.
Oh, I think you're cutting out.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, so if it goes dead, like dead, it's just I'm breathing, I'm silent, because sometimes I got to think, okay?
Gotcha.
Interesting here that you have 3 straight years of eclipses that are affecting you. Just went through a year and a half of them from the Scorpio-Taurus realm of your world. Now it continues into the Libra Aries part of your world in a sense because of your sun being in Libra. I will say right now that Jupiter is the planet to focus on in your world and to understand, relearn, embrace, embody. And the reason is because it rules your Saturn in Pisces, and that within very, very close here now is about to hit your South Node in Taurus and affect it already hit your Mercury in Scorpio, but it's about to touch all of your Scorpio planets in your chart. you're not done with the Scorpio Taurus story that many of who have this stuff have been dealing with for the last year and a half and have made it past that as of Monday, right? They sort of graduated, actually. Now here, saying that, Jupiter comes in Taurus here, and it's going to hit the stories that have happened the last year and a half with all your Scorpio stuff, which, let's just pick one of them planets, Venus. In Scorpio, relationships, how you relate, your sense of relating to yourself. Remember, home is you. Your words, by the way. Good word. That Jupiter is about to enhance this story, and I'm not making any predictions here. It's more for you to understand about what you want. Literally, what you want. If it's a person, situation, a job, whatever it is, anything that you relate to on the outside of yourself is Venus, really, what you relate to. So if you have had a clue or went through a challenging stories with what relating means, we'll also bring in money. It's about to, the next chapter of the story is about to happen. Because Jupiter and Taurus here is about to hit your South Node, but it's about to hit all your Scorpio planets. I'm going to say one more thing, and then I'm going to shut up because I want to know your thoughts.
Sure.
A lot of times when I see a North Node in Scorpio or a South Node in Taurus, that the South Node Taurus energy moves at a different pace, slower pace. And that there's a story or a learning of like true power that has nothing to do with anybody else but oneself, that the North Node in Scorpio brings. That a lot of times in situations of a South Node in Taurus, one will align themselves or align with people or situations that have power to like almost subconsciously learn about it, but at some point have to make a move to completely go solo in their power grab or power story. So I'm just saying that in general for the people watching, for whatever else, okay? So saying all that about Jupiter, saying all of that, Tyler, is there anything that you would like to say or that is there for you?
I don't know, because I feel like I have my North Node in Scorpio, and I have a huge Scorpio stellium, so I feel like I have been very familiar and have been working with this energy like very intricately for my entire life. This past cycle of having the South Node in Scorpio has released a lot of karma for me that I've been struggling to like figure out for my 28 years. And so I feel like I'm on this precipice of redefining myself too, especially with the South Node about to hit my sun now. And I don't know, I feel like I know how I desire to relate with others, but I still kind of feel like I'm fine-tuning that in a way.
Okay. Here's the reality, okay? Whether you know this or not, you having your Saturn return. Saturn is squaring your ascendant descendant. So you got double Saturn. You have, and this goes all the way until January mathematically, okay? If I were looking for something besides Jupiter in your world, it would be actually how Saturn already has and will hit again your Mercury and Scorpio in your chart. So that's another vessel of constructing things with your mind and an intention for what you want to do. It's actually a good way of planning with Saturn and Mercury vibing with each other. But basically, my friend, regardless of the eclipses, with everything else, the center point, the centerpiece is a Saturn return. And there is no way out of it. There's no way whatever. And you got to get through the next 2.5 years. It's just what it is. Luckily, for people like you or Pisces people who have their degrees in the first week, you're kind of getting through it first, right? So even though mathematically it's going to pass over and move forward, next year and just keep going, it's going to be around, right? And but inherently, it just goes through another thing that Jupiter's doing. Saturn's going to do? It's just going to trine all your Scorpio planets down the line.
Yep.
So this is pretty good, but in general, everything I just said, I'm going to wipe out. Saturn returns are no joke. A lot of times it's just looking at the last 27 years of one's life and figuring out what to take with you in the next 27 years. So it's the end of Act 1 ending and Act 2 overlapping, and it's just certain Saturnian things come into life. That's why I asked you the one word in the beginning about and you said home is you. And I'm going to say you remember that, Tyler. Wherever you go, whoever that is, whoever, whatever, whatever you do, you got to remember you, and the reconstruction that's happening of you, and the reality that there are certain things that need to go bye-bye.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
So I don't know if I'm helping you out here because there's a lot going on in your chart and has been, and I have to stay focused, But if I were to pinpoint, you already know the answer, and you're doing Saturn return, and you're right in the cauldron right now,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm on the second pass currently.
Yeah, you're on.
But I am doing. I think I'm doing well, and what you said was 100% correct, because I've been telling this to everybody that I talk to, is that I am in this transition phase, and I know that I'm becoming a different person, but I am still letting go of the current self. You know what I mean? I'm shedding that, but I'm not quite across the bridge yet. Yeah.
Okay, you know where you stand, Tyler. It sounds like, and I think a lot of times when people have Saturn transits, and over the years, I say this on air. I work a lot with Saturn with my clients, so I think it's important with anybody who's having a major Saturn transit that they know where they are at the moment, that things are defined, and to catch if there any resistance to the current situations, and if they're catching resistance or they're resisting the Saturn story, to really look at that and to contemplate that. And I think a lot of times when some people they find those things and they contemplate it, they realize, that's Saturn word, by the way, realize eventually, that they have to play a Saturn story. They have to play the game, that you're not fully in control of everything. And you have to almost accept a certain story temporarily that will get you through. And a lot of the time, Saturn deals with where one fears something in their chart when we look to Saturn. And these fears come up, right? And they're there, and one has to face them. Saturn's like, hey, here it is. Just so happens in your case, Saturn return, it's like one of the ultimate transits in someone's life, basically.
Yeah.
And, hopefully you make it there again. We all do. I know somebody, by the way, I just talked to who just made their third. Think about that one. Anyway,
wow,
yeah, it's wild. It's wild. But again, Tyler, one thing I will leave you with after the 29th of January next year, you're officially done with the degrees of that. You can also look, since you're studying, you can go look back to the square that happened before this conjunction right now. So 7 years ago, that period of time, you can go look. If you really want to bust a move, you do the every 7 years thing and tie it together, right? If you're a studying astrologer, which I think it's funny, you said 15 years now?
Yep.
Yeah, 15 years. So that's sort of, actually, when we look at what I just told you, those techniques, we're kind of looking like, you go every 7 years, right? So the first Saturn square is at 7, but it really is happening because a Saturn transit is 2.5 years through a sign. It really is 6 to 8 years old, right? It's really 13 to 15 years old. You see what I'm saying? So it's interesting there. So if you want to do some, you're an astrologer. I'm going to say you are because you've been studying for a while. If you haven't done it already, you can sitting around, go look at it. Go look at those times. What's the tie-in in your deeper parts, in the pillars and foundations of your life, and what can you pull from there as a benefit? And then what do you say goodbye to? A lot of times what we say goodbye to is what we were taught to do, what we were shown to do, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I just ran. Tyler, I hope I was able to help you out. I don't know. We were just chatting.
Definitely a lot of useful information, and even some homework to look into.
Be Saturn. You're in a Saturn transit. I tell people, wear the Saturn costume. Learn everything you can about it. Be Chronos. You know.
Gotcha.
So, anyway, Tyler, I appreciate you calling. In the end, Tyler.
Yeah.
Take
Thank
the
you.
power.
Hopefully,
Take the power.
hope to possibly work with you in the future because I also live in Washington State. So maybe that might happen.
Yeah, Tyler, listen, and I'll let everybody know here. I haven't announced it yet, but I live in PDX. I live in Portland. I go back and forth to Seattle along the I-5 corridor. I'm doing in-person sessions again, too, if it's possible to do with people.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Tyler, brother, good luck on your journey, my friend, okay?
Thank you. Have a good one, man.
Yes. Peace. Saturn return, exactly, people. You're never going to see that one. I mean, 6 degrees retrograde. He's born with 6 degrees retrograde, Saturn and Pisces. What it's doing right now. I just love this stuff. Okay. Who was the person, if you're in chat, who was the person who tried to call me? Because I want to do this. I want to do this. I got 33 people watching this whole time. I haven't been paying attention. I'm sorry, chat. I'm a little bit dialed in. It does feel like Loveline, doesn't it? I am looking at the chat. Wendy Yuka Homestead. My emotions for someone right is off the chart. Maybe that's why I'm a Leo. It's always going to be that way. It's the stage. You're on the stage. You're always on stage, and it's all there. Oh, yeah, I have to thank Nathalie, who's saying here, to super chat, super thanks. If those of you watching are on a desktop and you're looking at the chat screen, or if you're on mobile, hit the chat screen, you'll see some symbols there. One down there has a $sign symbol. You can tip me. It helps me do this stuff. It's called a super chat. I want to know who was trying to call me before this. That's what I want to know. Who was doing that? Let me go look at this because I actually might call you if I remember. Was it you? Who just called me? Oh, man. Oh, I took that one from... Oh, I know who it is. I'm calling you. I hope you answer. Look at this because I actually might call you. Claire?
Hi, you just called me.
Is this you? You called me before, yeah?
Yes, I did.
All right, let's do it, Claire. I caught you, okay?
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
It's so weird calling somebody back when I do that, like it's just sort of a boundary cross, but it isn't. I don't know. Okay, hold on. Are you good with everything?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
All right. I know your name's Claire, even if real name or not.
Yep.
When's your birthday?
May 29, 1955.
May 29, 1955.
Yep.
What time?
Jemmy. 8:28 p.m.
The Geminis are gonna follow me for the rest of my life. What city?
Manchester, New Hampshire.
Claire, May 29th, 1955, 8:28 p.m., Manchester, New Hampshire. Correct? Yes. Sag rising, correct?
Yes, sir.
Let me stop right here and say, De La Vera Hoffman, thank you for the super chat and tipping. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you reminding me because I'm going to do a really bad job of telling people to help me out and promoting myself because I'm too busy. I see another super chat by Miss McClellan. Thank you. I'll get to saying thank you later. But most importantly, Claire, you and I are together here to talk about your chart. What is one thing you would like to talk about or some info on?
Well, right now I'm having like medical things going on in my body, and it's kind of a little frightening.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I want to preface this by saying that, first off, I'm not a doctor and I don't do stuff like that. Second, I'm not a medical astrologer. I'm not just saying this to you, Claire. I'm saying it publicly, okay?
Okay.
That I just want to preface that. I know a little bit about that, and so I will do my best here with this. But I honor your question, Claire, and let's just see. You know, I just want to say that you got Gemini Sun. Way I do charts, you have a Sagittarius rising.
Yes.
And a Virgo moon. That is electric.
Yep. You notice the square. I have a square from Mercury to the moon. And
yes, but that's not the only reason why I said electric. Is let us not forget the amazing sextile that your moon has with Jupiter and Uranus in Cancer. And it's fascinating. I don't see this in particular all the time, you know, also because of the year you were born. That's why I'm glad that you called, because, you know, get certain generations calling here. And what you have with your moon is amazing, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah.
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 It's just I love it that that my moon connects to my Uranus Jupiter. I think it's given me compassion for others, and I love people and I want to help them, you know.
And Claire, and I know in the past that you have helped them. I don't even have to ask you. I know, because that moon of yours can see emotionally into people and the details, and Virgo energy inherently, you know, wants to serve, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's just a thrill to talk to you.
I'm glad you called, Claire, and I'm glad for you being here and being honest. And you know, it's funny, I said you have an electric moon, and your first answer, you went to your Mercury, right? You went to the square, and I get it. I totally know why you did it. You know, but here I am going, hey, you got that. I was dialing in on something else. And I think it's fascinating when we look at each other's charts, because we have a narrative with our own selves and our own chart that we sometimes first, you know what I mean? We we'll focus on, or we will look at, right? And it's always good to have someone outside source to look, because to see it in a different way. And I also bring in the fact that your Mercury moon actually, it is, you were born with that, but let's remember what we're born with is a launching pad. And a lot of the times with squares, it's learning off the bat, or the narrative was off the bat in someone's surroundings. Let's say in your case, a Mercury moon situation, that we learn and we grow from squares, and we actually become the expert on the subject, on the relationship, you know, with that. So, you know, saying that and looking at your Mercury, you know, together with your South Node, which is a story of what communication is or non-communication is in your life, and what that is. So saying that, I want to stop here and say, Claire, thank you for calling and speaking your truth, as in putting your chart up here and us hearing your voice.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I have that Venus opposite my Saturn, and that has been so hurtful in my life. It's not fair, you know.
Yeah, and I understand the Saturn story in my own world with Venus in a different way, but just like I had a caller earlier, you know, you've been through some transformative, regenerative processes with the eclipses there with your Scorpio and Venus stuff, and now you have a little Jupiter coming your way, I think, and that doesn't have to be a clamp down on your Venus, you know, and but here's my answer, sort of ish, to your initial question. Jupiter, we learn in astrology, is like, oh, it's the benefit planet. It brings hope and aspiration, faith, enhances things, right? So it's
Yeah.
it's doing that to your 6th house, and some of us know when we deal with the body and health and illness sometimes too, 6th house deals with that. So does 12th in a way. So, you have a Jupiter thing going here. So there is an enhancement in general happening, but it can happen in a bunch of different ways. I don't know exactly. I'm not going to predict anything, but it's in your health situation and crisis. It can enhance the situation as it's more forward into your world, more in front of you. The other parts of this is it can enhance and show the possible solutions to that situation.
Okay.
Okay. So, we have to look at this from different sides. But whatever the case is, it's in front of you. The health thing's in front of you. So I don't want to lose the 6th house story and the 12th house story here. And you kind of brought that to me here in the beginning, but you're the one in your own words talked about your Saturn Venus. So from, let's say, a conscious view, as in your meditative view about yourself, you're looking at yourself first and foremost, we know that part of the story possibly has to do with your Saturn Venus literally, but also what Saturn Venus means to you your whole life. I'm not saying that's a tonic and solution for your health problems, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not. But I will say that it's in the realm, technically, when we're looking at the chart, that it's there, touching those places. Now, again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical astrologer. I'm not going to do that. The only thing I could say to you, Claire, and maybe you have already, is, you to keep plodding along and finding the resources to help you in your health challenges. Okay? I can't go there. I can't do that here. And
I understand.
You know what I mean? Especially here.
I understand. I do.
Yeah.
I do. I understand.
But
That's okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for going around it.
Yeah, you caught that I was going around it, and I'm also.
Yeah, that's okay.
You're also.
That's okay.
I'm also reflecting and mirroring some of the things that you said, as to just acknowledge you and go, okay, I see where you're at. But again, in general, beyond the health thing. Just as I talked about your moon square with Mercury and how things change, the same thing with Saturn Venus in your life. You become the expert on this stuff. It's hard. It's really hard, Saturn Venus. I know it is. But the eclipses and Jupiter coming your way here, and even this Venus retrograde that squares all this stuff, that's, at least the way I do charts, is coming into your 9th house there of higher learning, the philosophical truth, what that is. That's a place that could possibly give you some insight too. A lot of fortune is there for people who are into that, or Pluto's up there. Venus is hitting all that, and it already has. And so that's another way of like the outlook, the way to look. There's the technical version of like the numbers and the logical thinking. We know 9th house is more about like the philosophical view, the code that you live by, your highest truth. So Venus in the sky right now is there, but it also is squaring the Saturn in Scorpio and squaring your Venus. So you're, in my mind, deeply affected by this Venus and Scorpio transit. So that's another thing maybe you can add into your world. I'm going to shut up here. I'm just curious what you're going to say. Is like what your truth is, what your highest truth, and what you bring into that truth. It could be more seeking of like, there's the help medically, what you're doing and what you need to do. And then there's the other thing of like the spiritual trip of it all, right? What do you think about that?
Yes. Yeah.
What do you think about the spiritual side trip of it? If that's a thing, you don't have to say anything to this if you don't want to, Claire.
No, I've been, let's say, kind of mystical all my life. I've had dreams that have been just life-changing, and I feel like I've had a conversion experience before, and where it's kind of like meeting God in the astral realms, and it's just amazing. So it really opened me up. It's like being in a little room, and all of a sudden there's a roof, and there's an attic, and there's the outside, and there's space, and there's the universe. It's just I'm really grateful You know, I've had a hard life, but I think God compensates sometimes for the things we go through. And yeah, so it's been a trip.
I'm
Been a
yeah.
trip.
I hear that in
Yeah.
hear that in your words and your voice, Claire, and
Thank you.
everything you've said today. I'm not talking to anybody else now. I'm talking to you, Claire. I'm just glad that you have your spirituality and your faith with you. Whatever you want to call it, whatever it is in your life, I'm glad that's there for you and that you have a story, an intertwined story with that, because I think it's fundamental. It always is, really, right? But we come to certain parts in our lives, right? And mortality, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
yeah. So,
Yep.
at some
So
point
you're so special, Nicholas. You are so special. And I want to say something too about your music. Like your music's crazy. I love it. There was this one short you had done where you left some music that sounded very much like a piece called The Geographical Fugue. And if you were to Google that, The Geographical Fugue, you'll hear something that sounds so much like what you were doing in your music. Keep it up.
Claire, thank you for the words. Hold on a second before we say goodbye. The Geographical Fugue.
Fugue.
I got
Yes.
it. I'll look it up later. Someone's listening to what I'm
Excellent.
doing. Claire?
It's all words. There's no like instrumental music. It's all voices. It's a choir.
Oh, okay.
And they begin and they do like a round, like row your boat.
Oh, okay.
And it's powerful, and I wanted to send it to you, but I didn't know how to contact you.
Okay, so once I get off the phone call, I'm going to tell people how to contact me. Thank you for reminding me of that, Claire. And most
You
importantly,
are so sweet.
most importantly, Claire, I'm happy that you called. I appreciate your voice, and I really appreciate that Virgo moon of yours.
Yeah. I love the way you lift people up. Just thank you for that.
You're welcome, Claire, and thanks for calling.
Okay.
I'll see you, and I'll check out the thing you told me. Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Claire has that thing in her voice that a Mercury and Gemini has, no matter what's going on. It's that song. It's the chime. Let's not think about the words. There is something there. A sound carried on a golden cloud, even at the worst of times and the best of times. It's in Claire's voice. So, thanks for calling, Claire. So I gotta say right now, I'm on this journey I'm in with these live streams and what's going on. I am so humbled by the universe. I'm humbled by Hermes. Thank you. By all that I worship, I am utterly grateful. I am really lucky. There's times, where you shake your fist at the world. You're fuck this and why do I have this, or heartbreak. why is this happening to my body? You know, everybody's got their thing, their challenges. And then, you know, it's like, I'm just utterly, I'm really fucking lucky for the life that I have and what I'm doing. And I follow this mystery. I'm excited about it, passionate about it. It drives me crazy at the same time. You know, the live streams, and it's all worth it. It's all worth it because you just never know what's going to happen. I'm done. I'm going to go get adjusted. I'm going to go to Costco and get my broccoli. But even through it all, I'm just going to be like, man, I'm no matter what other things are happening in the world, my life, I thank the universe for this, for everything that's happened to these points. You know, I'm just so fortunate. I very, very humbled. And I thank the universe, and I thank all of you watching and everyone who supported me. If you don't know this, last night I hit 1,500 subscribers. I think about when it was nothing. I just stuff, this crazy idea I had about doing these calls, and the other ideas that are coming your way. All of it. It all comes through a conduit in a place that deals with infinite beauty and infinite love. And so I'm fortunate, and I'm thank you for being here and sharing that, you know, with me. And Shawnee, I see you. Thank you for the super chat. I see you. I appreciate you. I saw another super chat earlier where Esmeralda, thank you for the super chat. And I see your comments in chat. Thanks, y'all. I appreciate your support and what you do. And yeah. And Claire, thanks for calling. Everybody who's called. I don't know if I'm going to do another chart. I have some things I need to talk about. And let's just get right to them. I mentioned Holographic Transits, a book that I have here. I got another book I want to show you. And it's from a local astrologer in Portland. And her name is Melanie Gurley. And she wrote a book. She just published it like 2 weeks ago. You could still get this. And it's Beautiful Astrology's Venus Retrograde Guide and Workbook by Melanie Gurley. I'm going to put the link in the chat. This is a very embodied book where she goes through what Venus means. She explains what retrogrades mean, what a sign means, what zodiac means. It's made for somebody who doesn't even know. And for somebody like me who knows, I've been looking through it. And she talks about retrograde basics. You know, she says, you know those fairy tales in which the heroine goes off the main trail on her way to the witch's house only to meet a magical toad who offers the exact random bit of strange insight that a brave traveler will later need? That is how we can look at retrograde periods, believe it or not. Well said, Melanie. I saw her last night. It's a journal, too. It's she breaks this book up into 3 stages. One that's happening now, to prepping into the retrograde, and then afterwards she breaks it up there. She even explains some really basic stuff here, and she's got these chapters. I really like what she did. She's got super cool quotes in between, a preparation chapter, all that. It's not too late. Let me go throw this link into the chat. Where is it? It's right there. Oh gosh, Nicholas, how am I gonna do this? How am I going to... Oh, I might have to throw it up in my own chat. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can do this. I have a different setup. Here is the link. And I just put it up in chat. Support Melanie in her journey with this. Super cool. Melanie, thank you for an amazing book you wrote on Venus, what to do with your notes, your experience afterwards, pre-retrograde, during, post-retrograde. She's got these words: recalibrate, refresh, renegotiate, all retrograde words. That is the book, Beautiful Astrology. I also want to point out again, I got a Venus and Leo candle that I'm burning here right now. You cannot see it right there. This is by Dasman Natalie, HermesAvalis.com. You know, I did a stream not too long ago about her stuff. She just released new stuff this week the Chariot tea lights, amazing tea lights. She's got something else I think that's coming down the line. I'm going to throw that in the chat. I like to support and show people that of independent people who are building and using astrology in whatever modalities, who are small business owners. In this case, I have two people I just showcased here who are mothers, working astrologers, tarot card readers. Dasmine is an amazing electional astrologer. If you want to learn more or get an electional reading, want to launch something to do that, Dasmine, I put hermesavalis.com. Please buy her candles. Please, at least go to the website. Go find Melanie. Beautiful Astrology on Instagram. That was the deal. Now, here's one more book. If you don't have one already, this is an Ephemeris. This is the midnight version. There's a white version too. You're learning astrology. I know we have apps for this stuff. I know we do our research. We do all that stuff. You go old school too. Have one of these things next to your bedside or whatever. It's a great way of learning astrology and learning transits. San Grape or Grape Thomas. I see your comment and your super chat. Thank you very much. This super chat's paying for my chiropractic adjustment after this. I just have to say that. Thank you. So anyway, let's get back to the Ephemeris. I'll throw that link up here. Here is my, I'll do it this way. Where is my bookshop.org link is right here to this. I encourage you, people learning or an astrologer, if you want to take it to the next level, get an Ephemeris. You can also get the noon version, which is white. They're both good. It's just different ways of setting it up. I will also give you the white version here. These are all referral links, except for Dasmine and the Venus book are not referral links. I don't get anything for that, and I don't care. So there's that. But these links for the books, for the Ephemeris, help me out and help the channel and what I do. And so I go, why am I picking an Ephemeris? Because I think here, when we're looking at transits like retrogrades and stuff, that we have our apps, our charts to look at. But when you learn to look at it through an Ephemeris way and you highlight, you do certain things, you have this organic personalization that happens in a different way of looking at astrology and understanding. And the book leads you on to look at future dates in a certain way and look at the graphs. But yeah, as Stephen Jupiterian says, every astrologer should have in book form. I have 5 different Ephemerises, by the way. I have another one that I really use. This one I go to. I like to keep this one in good condition, but I have another one that's thrashed, and I have some other ones. Anyway, that's a way to do things. I just wanted to showcase those 2 items. And do that. And then I also want to get to something here that I wanted to talk about. One more thing. I could talk about the nodes changing. I could talk about that. I want to pull this chart up, actually, and talk about this chart. And this is when Chiron goes retrograde here Sunday. We actually have a wild week happening here already. From the lunations going on, we have today as I'm doing this. Oh, I was going to promise somebody when the Cazimi happens. And actually, let me pull that chart up here for when that happens. And let me do this really quick. I will do an aspect, and I will do Sun conjunct Venus. So it's usually the other way around. And I will go there. And here it is here. I'll do it as chart 2. I'll switch this up. Here it is on August 13th, 4:15 a.m. is officially when Venus is going to be going into the sun, conjunct the sun that day, morning, right there at 20 degrees. Huge moment in the retrograde cycle, and we want to remember this. And I'm doing this for the past caller to understand if they were to do their 40 plus days. By the way, that Venus book that I put up is a really good situation for you for the caller I had earlier when we're talking about this. But this is Cazimi. I'm just going to point this out. I got to work on a video on this. I want to point that out. I also want to point out what I had up here on screen. was the Chiron retrograde that's going to station here at 5:41 a.m. July 23rd. That is happening as we speak. For those who do the Chiron story, there you go. There's that. I also want to say before I wind down here, I'm 2 hours into a stream. That tomorrow at 6:06 a.m. on the 20th, we have Sun trine Neptune, which is interesting. We have it's 7:08 a.m. tomorrow on Thursday. We don't want to forget this because the moon in Leo is going to conjunct Venus in Leo. That is an interesting spot because it's the 28-degree spot that is happening here Saturday, and that's that. And then at 1:39 p.m. tomorrow, we have the official Mars opposite Saturn. Friday, we get into another powerful aspect on the 21st at 8:52 p.m., which is the Sun opposite Pluto. The one of the year there is happening. And then at 11:57 midnight, pretty much Pacific on Friday, Mercury trine Chiron, Mercury in Leo trine Chiron. If some of you who have watched my video, hey Sam, I see you in chat. If some of you watch my video on my last live stream or whatever I did about how Chiron is at the heart of this Venus in Leo retrograde story, Mercury in Leo is trining Chiron before Chiron goes retrograde on Sunday, and there's a clue into that there too. And you know, we want to pay attention to degrees like this. Saturday on the 22nd, Venus goes retrograde at 6:32, and at 6:50 on Saturday, we see you, Leos. You are on stage finally. The birthdays start to happen in Leo. We have that happen along on the same day that the Venus retrograde in Leo starts. It's a fascinating combination of events this week, and on Saturday, especially for the retrograde, that we have the Venus birthday or the Leo story happen. I used to chide Leos back in the day, but I love them, and I love this energy of what's going on. No matter how difficult it can be in someone's chart, I also think there's amazing a connection to life itself and creativity here with Leo, that this Venus and Leo transit's very, very workable for people, and is a coming out party in a sense, and will be for a lot of people here, whether they realize it or not. When we get to Sunday, I mentioned at 5:42 a.m., the chart you see up on the screen, Chiron stations, and at 2:39 p.m. Pacific, we have another amazing transit. It's Mercury in Leo this time is going to be squared by Uranus. Mercury's a huge factor here, too, as always. I just wanted to point out those things. It's not exactly the way that I wanted to do it, but my stream went really long today, and I wanted to point things out. I have 37 people watching here. If you came later, you can always go back. I'll add the timestamps late tonight when I get a chance about the phone calls. Part of me wants to take one more, but I think I'm done for today. I have to watch my energy. I want to say a thank you to everybody in chat. The links. Oh, I should promo myself. That is who I am. I'll put my readings in the chat and my page. I have a Venus in Leo's reading there. I just added a lunar nodes in Aries and Libra session for cheap, 155. That's my version of cheap. If you have stuff at those nodes, I also have a thing where Claire and Claire, thank you. Claire chat. Claire was on the phone. Sent me a super chat. Thanks, Nicholas. I hope your bone crunch goes well for my adjustment. Spoken like a true Mercury in Gemini. Thanks, Claire, for the super chat. So there's who I am. I'm on Instagram. I have a Patreon, which I promise my Patreon people, there isn't that many, but I have them. They're going to get a 3 questions interview here by the weekend. It's either going to be Becca Tarnas. I have a bunch that I did at the last NORWAC conference. Some other people, publisher of the Mountain Astrologer, Ray Sapp. I have one with her. I got a bunch coming in down the line. I don't know which one I'm going to pick. My Patreon members are going to get that first. I'm on Patreon. If you want to know more about me, you can go to my website. I have a bunch of links at the top. And I also have this links here too, where on my website you could see the videos that I've had, the new moon in Cancer, the Mars and Virgo video that I did that talks about the rest of the Mars and Virgo transit. It's a good video. I have 3 questions interview with Stormy Grace, audio wise, with Demetra George, so on and so forth. I want to thank everyone again for the super chat, for holding space in the chat, because I don't have to watch that. I don't have to worry about you people who've been in the chat here. You've been very supportive, and I don't have to worry about you. One day I'll probably have to have moderators on there, because I'll have people freaking out and call me a heretic or some shit. But for the most part, I thank you, and thank you for your support and the subscriptions and the super chat. I am really a lucky dude. Saying that, I will work on my video for this weekend for Venus and Leo. Thanks, Wendy, Claire, Jay Peterson, the crew that's been coming in on here. Sam, I see you all. Those who stopped in, Golden Heart, Aqua Gem, Lauren, Jenny D, Esmeralda, Joseph Murray with your chats. Everybody's been in here. I appreciate you. Thank you. Let's go out the way I started. And I figured a way to cool this room off. I actually have a popsicle here I was going to bust out on stream. I could. But let's go out the way we started. Please support the people in the links that I mentioned. It would really mean a lot to me. And thank you for holding space when I went in my place there. I can only do it because I trust the space. Yeah. Let's see if I get this right. I have to see if my music's going to come on here. And maybe it's not going to work. I think it's not working. Wow. Yeah, I don't know what I did to my music, but it's not happening. We might have to do it a different way. Let's see if I do this. Sorry for that. Wow, it's not working. Huh. What do I do? No music? No nothings? Huh. All right. Well, I have an alternative before I say goodbye. And it's another thing I have to figure out. I was really loud with my mic today because I had to cancel out the fan noise in the background. And I'll just bust out my other iPad here and find the app that I know will help me say goodbye to you all. And I know some of you are leaving or whatever, and that's all good. It's all good. Where the hell is... Thanks to everything today for all this. For the stream, for the great callers that we have, and your honesty, and trusting me and trusting the space with what I do, and your vulnerability. All the calls today were total Cancer Sun vulnerability. I'm Lorianne, thank you. Oh man, it's so funny when you have an idea years before and then you start to implement it and you do it, and then what happens? It's almost out of your hands after that, right? And that is the way I'll end the stream. If anything out of the Venus and Leo transit were to teach any of us, is that when we are in our creative selves and revamping of that and the reclaiming of that, we make something for ourselves. We get caught up in that creation story. Whether it comes from a place of sadness, of pain, of pleasure, whatever, it is our right to do something like that. So when we do that, eventually we create something. And eventually, a lot of the times, that creation goes out into the world. And in that sense, we let it go to the outside of the world. The world has it, and they're going to have a different translation and view that might not be the inherent intention or what happened with your own creation. But once you put that out into the gallery that is the world, people they don't care, they applaud, they boo. It doesn't matter. But it does if you let it go and it becomes something else. And that is life. That is what we do. We create things, we keep it to themselves, and if we choose to, we let it out into the world, and it becomes, it's like it's something else, its own creature, its own, story, its own butterfly, right? So that's how I'm going to end the stream, is saying that. And so here,